I'm your host Emanuela, and this is Say Yes to Living the Spirit and Mind Journey, where we create a safe space for healing, transformation, and evolution. And today we'll be talking about starting the journey of self love, the ways to get that journey started. So, if you've ever wondered how to change the perception you have about yourself, to change your views of yourself, to love yourself better, then you are in the right place to learn how to get that process started. And I'll get into the video without further ado. The first step into starting your journey of self-love would be to understand what love means to you. Understand how you view love, what you require of love, how you like to express love, and how you like to receive love. And the way you can do this is by taking inventory of your life, your past, your present, and your future, where you plan to be with regards to love, what you're hoping to get. This would help you see the gaps that you need to fill in between those, the habits you need to change, the people you need to let go of or bring into your life, and help you just understand in general how you perceive or view love. Now, one of the ways you can take an inventory is by journaling. I'm a very big proponent of journaling. I always encourage people to write down their lives, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Like I always say, it doesn't have to be something you abide by strictly every day. Just take inventory. It could be just once a week, it could be every 2 weeks. Just take notes of your life, of how your love life is going, how you feel about yourself, how you want to feel about yourself, the changes you wish to make, and the habits that will help you get from point A to point B. So the first step, like I said, would be to understand what love means to you, and you can do that by taking inventory of where you are and where you wish to be with regards to self-love. The second step will be to learn your love languages. There are multiple love languages. There's the acts of service, there's a physical touch, there's quality time. So you just learn what love language applies to you, which one you enjoy the most or you desire the most, and give it to yourself pretty much. So since we're talking more about self-love, we're not expecting this from other people right now, we're just expecting it from ourselves. So learn what your love language is, and give yourself that service. If it's acts of service as your love language, you could do things for yourself that should show yourself some kindness. Take out time for yourself if you require quality time, whatever your love language is. And like I always tell people, you feel free to invent new love languages. If you feel like the current love languages don't cover your needs, then you can invent new ones and just help yourself out with regards to that, basically. And understand that love is sacrifice. That would be the third part, would be to understand that love is sacrifice. And basically, when we say love is sacrifice, what we mean is you're going to have to make changes. If you want to grow as an individual in self-love, you're going to have to make changes. You're going to have to do things that make you happy. You're going to have to let go of people, places, and things that are not adding to your sense of self, your sense of self-worth. And you're going to have to implement people, places, and things that add to your sense of self, that increase your self-love, that encourage your sense of self and self-worth. So love is sacrifice, and in this case, sacrifice just means letting go of things that aren't helping and adding things that are helping. Sacrifice could also look like discipline. Sacrifice could look like hard work, putting in the hard work to love yourself, to be in a better position physically, mentally, socially, environmentally, financially, all the alleys, to love yourself and to grow as a person. Putting in the work, putting in the discipline, creating a routine for yourself. Those are the things that sacrifice would look like. So that's the third step. Just a quick recap. First thing would be to understand what love means to you. The second step would be to learn your love languages, and the third step would be to understand that love is sacrifice. And with that, you understand the sacrifices you need to make to get from where you are right now into loving yourself. And then the fourth thing would be to understand that love and patience are intertwined. You cannot have one without the other, honestly. Just like love and sacrifice are intertwined, love and patience are also intertwined. You have to learn to love yourself even through your bad days, through all the discipline and the changing routines and changing habits. You'll have days where you fall or where you fall short and where you don't meet your own expectations. You have to learn to love yourself through those days. So love is definitely patient. just think about someone you love very much, someone who is very dear to your heart, and think about how you react when they fall short or when they do things to annoy you. There is always that tendency for you to forgive them and to go back to them, right? That's how you should treat yourself as well. You don't put them down for their mistakes, so you shouldn't put yourself down for your mistakes as well. That's just one of the ways to learn to love yourself, would be to observe how you love people who you genuinely love. You notice that you're more patient with them, you do things for them and stuff like that, and the way you do things for them is the way you should learn to start doing for yourself, right? It's just a way of reflection, or point of reflection. And then the fifth thing would be to find what you love to do and do it passionately. Some people call it what's it called, like what you're called to purpose, right? Some people call it purpose. It's purpose, your work on earth, your job on earth, what God has put you on this earth to do. Find it and then do it passionately, because there is no better way to show yourself love than to actually do what you were brought here to do. So finding your passion and doing it with all of your hearts could, help you view yourself in a higher regard, and help you feel like your life has more purpose, more value, probably reduce suicidal tendencies or depression, because it increases the feel-good hormones, and just helps you view yourself better in general, right? So find what you love to do, and purpose aside, also finding hobbies that you love to do could help you improve your sense of self, your self-worth and self-love, and things like that. So just find hobbies that you love to do. It be dancing, find ways to move your body, find ways, it could be dancing, it could be gardening, it could be going on a walk, it could be learning a craft, anything that you really love to do that your hands can do well, or that a skill that you've always wanted to build. You don't have to know how to do it well in the moment, but just something you can grow in and something you would love, because it's one thing to do things and hate them, and it's something else to do things you love and enjoy them, right? So that's why I keep hammering doing things you love, not just doing anything for doing sake. It's doing things that you love, doing things that make you happy, doing things that make you feel connected to yourself. Those are the things that we want to incorporate into our lives. So now, before I go into my therapy tools that would be beneficial, and I already mentioned one of them in the beginning, I'll just do a recap. I know I do a lot of recaps. I just like to make sure people are following, okay? But I'll do one more recap and then I'll go into the tools, okay? First step would be to understand what love means to you, and you can do this by taking inventory, which is one of the tools that I said I was going to mention. Journaling, basically just journaling, taking inventory of your life, where you are going, and where you've been, and also taking inventory of your traumas, trying to understand your traumas, because sometimes our needs, our love desires stem from past traumas. So understanding your trauma and understanding how they play into your love needs, or your needs in general, would be beneficial in the step to loving yourself more, loving yourself better. So taking inventory, and second step would be to learn your love languages. Learn what love languages apply the most to you, and then you implement them into your lifestyle for yourself. And you don't know, you can also implement the ones that don't necessarily apply to you, but basically you use the ones that apply to you more often than the ones that you feel like you can live without. Basically, you can apply all of them, but just apply the ones that are more you focused more often than the other ones, basically. And then the third step would be to understand that love is sacrifice, and make the necessary sacrifices you need to get to wherever you're trying to get to with regards to self-love. Let go of people, places, and things, and bring in people, places, and things in accordance, basically. And then the fourth step would be to learn that love and patience are intertwined. You cannot have one without the other. So even on days when you fall short, you have to be merciful with yourself, forgiving, soothing of yourself, understanding, talk to yourself, watch your self-talk. Don't talk down on yourself, be uplifting about your situation or whatever it is that you're going through. Be more understanding with yourself, basically. And then the final and fifth step that I mentioned would be to find what you love and do it passionately with your whole heart. With regards to that is twofold. That's finding your purpose, and also finding hobbies and habits that you want to incorporate into your day that gives you a more fulfilling, loving life. Now, into the tools. As I mentioned for like the gasoline time, journaling is one of my therapy tools that I always recommend. Journaling and listening to self-love affirmations. Just, you can find these on YouTube. They're all over the place now, thankfully. And if you feel like none of the ones you see are good for you, you can always create yours. If you don't think it's awkward, you could create your own self-love affirmation with your own voice and music, however you want, and listen to that on a daily basis, however much you need to do that. Another helpful tool, which is pretty much helpful for a lot of things. I would be saying this particular tool even in other videos that don't have nothing to do with self-love. That's because of how useful it is. It's practicing mindfulness, just being still, sitting still, because one of the ways to understand exactly how you wish to love yourself is to understand what exactly is going on the inside of you. So we've become a world where we tend to look more outwardly, like look on outward things, social media and just status and fame and climbing the social ladder. It's all more social, but we have to take time to reflect on the inside, to check up on what's going on the inside of our hearts. One of the ways to do that will be meditation and mindfulness, just sitting still, talking to yourself, understanding yourself. If you're into prayers, definitely praying to God, talking to him about your needs and listening to his voice for him to speak to you, listening to your intuition, to your gut, listening to your body. That's not something that's encouraged a lot. People like to tell us what we can and cannot do with regards to our body. Oh, eat this, don't eat that, this diet, that diet. But it's important to listen to your own body when it comes to dieting as well, just to understand what you need, because the nutrients you need are specific to you as opposed to something that someone else's needs. So just listen to your body and understand yourself, mind, body, soul, and spirit, right? And final tool is, if you feel like you need therapy, because this isn't a therapy session in and of itself, hopefully it helps, but if you feel like this is something you cannot work through alone, then definitely seek out help, seek out consultation and therapy from a licensed therapist. And talk therapy is very undervalued, but there's a lot of value in talking through things. And I mean, I generally don't recommend this, but if you feel like there's a family or a friend you could talk to who would be very understanding and who would keep your matters private, then you could talk to a family or a friend, and if they can give you good advice, that's all good and dandy. I typically don't recommend this because people have issues with oversharing, and then there's a whole issue with that, and we just don't want to get into all that. But in the event that you have someone like that in your life, then that's good. If not, then therapy. And there are cheaper methods of therapy coming out lately, so just find something that works for you and for your budget. And if you're not in a place in your life right now where you can afford therapy, then this is definitely a work that you can actually do on your own. It may take a longer time, but you could definitely get there if you're determined and focused. Well, I hope this was helpful. Once again, I'm Emanuela, and thank you for listening to the end, listening to my ramblings. Have a good day.